Hey guys, welcome back. It is meal prep day and I'm so excited to just lock in, get back on track with my fitness, with my eating. After a long summer break, now that the kids are back to school, fall is basically here. It feels like the perfect time to do kind of a reset and just get back on track. So that's what we're doing today. I'm gonna be making some healthy and high protein, as always, meals. We all know the importance of eating enough protein, or hopefully you do. And one of my goals is to get over 100 grams of protein. Often I will get close to 150 grams of protein in a day, but it doesn't always happen if I don't plan for it. So I'm gonna be meal prepping some meals that have lots of protein, and I will share the recipes with you guys as always. But today's recipes, I'm actually gonna be using one of my favorite healthy cookbooks. This is the Wellness Mama Cookbook, so I'm gonna be pulling a few recipes out of here and just adapting them so that I can make them a little higher in protein. And then I also have, this is my list today, guys. Can you tell I am like super organized and ready for this? Yeah, we aren't as prepared as always, but that is not stopping me today. We're doing this. So on the menu today, from my crumpled up menu plan here, I'm gonna be making a turkey sausage with sweet potato hash and Brussels sprouts. So that will be one meal. I also am going to be making some egg cups. I like to make egg bites. I've made them so many times before, but I've never made an egg cup where you actually crack the egg into the muffin tin and bake it like that without mixing it. So that's gonna be fun, something a little bit unique and different from my usual. And another recipe that I'm excited to try that I got from this cookbook is a barbecue bacon apple chicken. I'm gonna use a slow cooker for that one, so it's pretty hands-off once everything is in there. I don't have to think about it. And I also love that it's going to have some apples. It's apple season. We live super close to an apple farm, so apples are abundant right now, so I love finding new and creative ways to use them. So the apples are actually gonna go in with the chicken while they cook. And then as a side dish, I'm gonna be making a coleslaw, and I'm gonna make a higher protein Greek yogurt dressing to go with the coleslaw. And I'm also gonna be making, if I have time, I hope I have time, some homemade RX bars. I don't know if you guys have heard of RX bars. I love these things. I find them at Costco, but you can find them anywhere basically now. They're pretty popular, they're delicious, they're really simple ingredients, and apparently they're pretty easy to make at home. So I'm going to attempt that today as well. Let's do this, let's meal prep. Sausage, sweet potatoes, salt and pepper, garlic powder. So today's meal prep includes some simple, healthy ingredients, which I've laid out on my counter so everything is just really easy to grab, along with my recipes and caffeine close by just in case I need it. Today, I wasn't as prepared as usual, but you know what? I didn't let that stop me. Even though some things didn't go as planned today, I just rolled with it, as you're gonna see soon. I'm so glad you're here and along for the ride with me today. So let's get started, and the first recipe I'm making is a barbecue turkey bacon apple chicken recipe. And as mentioned before, I'm actually adapting a recipe from the cookbook, The Wellness Mama. The first thing I'm doing is just preparing my chicken breast. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of fat on my chicken breast, so I just wanted to remove all of that extra fat because I'm not a big fan of fat on my chicken, so I just want to clean it up first. And then what you're going to be doing is taking 2 slices of turkey bacon and wrapping it around your chicken breast. Now, you're going to see pretty soon that this isn't working so well, and I think that's because this is turkey bacon and not regular bacon like the recipe calls for. So because I made that substitute, I decided to just slice my chicken breasts in half to make them a little bit smaller, and then I'm going to be wrapping each of these pieces of chicken with 1 slice of turkey bacon. So you just want to do the best that you can wrapping it around, and I just folded it underneath the chicken, and then I'm placing it inside of my slow cooker. And it's okay if you have to stack them on top of each other. You're going to see at the end of today's meal prep video what I end up doing with this, so it actually doesn't really matter how well you wrap your chicken. Just get it all in there, and next we're going to work on the apple and barbecue sauce. I'm using 2 apples, and the first thing I'm doing is just peeling off the skin. Unfortunately, I do not own an apple peeler. I am really hoping to buy one soon. I just don't know which one is the best one to buy. So if you have a recommendation for an apple peeler, preferably one that slices it at the same time, I think that would be an investment I'm ready to make at this point, because with it being apple season, I love making apple crisp and lots of recipes with apples. It's just a big pain in the butt having to peel all of these apples all the time. So you're going to grate up your apples, and then we're going to be mixing it with our barbecue sauce. I absolutely love how simple this recipe is. My kids loved this recipe as well, so it's a great family-friendly meal. A low sugar barbecue sauce. So I found this one at the grocery store, but just look at the back, nutritional facts. So it says only 2 grams of sugar in this one for 2 tablespoons. So that's great. So we need about a cup of barbecue sauce. You can pour it in here. I think that's gonna be basically my whole container here. I'll just use the whole thing. And I'm going to add a little splash of apple cider vinegar as well. It's gonna get out the rest of my barbecue sauce. I'm not wasting any. Voila. And I also have garlic powder, a teaspoon of that. Whisk this together. And then take those apples that you grated and add it in with the sauce. And just give that a mix. Yum, this smells so good. So I'm actually gonna set it to high because this is gonna take about 4 hours at high. It would take a lot longer if it was on low. All right. One protein done. So next up, I'm making a turkey sausage with sweet potato hash and Brussels sprouts. So the recipe from the Wellness Mama Cookbook just uses a pork sausage, but one way that I'm making this a little bit less calories, a little bit lighter, I'm using a turkey sausage instead. If you can't find a turkey sausage, you could always use a chicken sausage as well, or you could even use ground turkey and then just add some of those sausage seasonings. And also my sausage was an Italian sausage, but you could also use a honey garlic sausage if you like. Any sausage will do. Now the recipe says to peel these sweet potatoes before putting them in the pan, but making a shortcut here. So you definitely don't need to peel the sweet potatoes like the recipe says in the cookbook. I actually love eating sweet potato skins, and obviously it's super convenient skipping that step and just chopping it up. I use 3 small sweet potatoes for this recipe, and once the meat has browned and it's fully cooked, I'm going to be removing it from the pan, and as you can see, there's a lot of stuff stuck to the bottom of my pan. That's probably because I use cooking spray instead of an olive oil, and my pan is also not a non-stick pan. So don't be afraid if you do see that in your pan. It's actually flavor and it's what you want, especially with this recipe, because we're adding in our potatoes, we're adding in some garlic powder, salt and pepper, and then I'm gonna be adding a splash of liquid. You could either use a water or a broth, and when you put the lid on and you let it come up to a simmer, it's going to release all of those brown bits and flavor from the bottom of the pan, and it's just going to make everything taste delicious. So once the lid is on, you're just going to leave it for about 10 to 12 minutes, and I checked on mine periodically just to make sure that nothing was sticking and that the liquid didn't fully evaporate. In the meantime, I am just going to be trimming up my Brussels sprouts. Unfortunately, my Brussels sprouts were not in the best shape at the grocery store, but I just decided to get them anyways, so it took a little bit of extra work for me to get them cleaned up. But we did it. We got them all clean. And now I'm just gonna be slicing them up pretty thinly. You may have noticed I added another splash of broth to the pan. That was because things were starting to stick a little bit too much. So you do wanna keep an eye on it. Again, it's okay to have some brown bits, but you don't want like everything to start burning and get super stuck. And while you're waiting, don't forget to do a little boogie in the kitchen because that makes cooking fun. I just went to the Morgan Wallen concert, so I'm definitely rocking out to some Morgan Wallen while I'm cooking today. Okay, so you can see all those brown bits are now really easily coming off of the pan and it tastes so yummy. Now I'm going to be adding in most of my chopped Brussels sprouts. I decided to save some to add to my coleslaw as well, but I just added as much as I felt necessary. And then I also added in about a tablespoon of butter because butter just tastes amazing. It makes everything better. So now I have the Brussels sprouts in with the sweet potatoes. So they're just cooking away. And I added a touch of butter because it was starting to stick. So I just put the lid on for a few minutes to let the Brussels sprouts cook and soften. And then after a few minutes, I'll take the lid off and let everything crisp up and get nice and brown. And then I'll add the sausage back in, stir everything together, and that's it for that meal. And now I'm gonna work on my coleslaw. I will show you here. So I had a package of pre-mixed, just a shredded coleslaw mix. And then I had some extra Brussels sprouts that I chopped up and added in there as well. So I've got lots and lots of coleslaw. So I'm just gonna make a simple dressing. And I did start it already and my camera wasn't recording. I added 1¼ cups of plain Greek yogurt. I added 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise and 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard. And now I'm gonna add a little bit of honey and some red wine vinegar. For the coleslaw, I'm also gonna chop up some celery because that's gonna taste really good. Give it a nice crunch. I personally love simple side dishes when meal prepping because I am not a complicated girl. I am okay with keeping things basic and I also love salads. So a high protein coleslaw like this that could sit in the fridge and taste delicious after a few days, perfect. Give this a little taste. I love that as this sits in the fridge, it's gonna get even better over time. It's delicious. All right, I'm gonna give this a try too. I'm starving. It's pretty hot. So good. And a little more pepper and salt. So good. Yum. So I did end up using 2 packs of the slaw mix and it fits perfectly. And there's just enough dressing. So I recommend going with 2 packs if you are making the same amount of dressing. If not, maybe just cut it in half if you're only using 1 pack because that is a lot of coleslaw, but I think my whole family will enjoy this recipe, so I'm gonna share it with them. And this is the sausage. That's looking incredible. Look at that. Oh, wow. All right, let's work on those egg cups now. Preheat oven to 400. So I think I'm only gonna make 6 of these because I'm not sure if I will go through 12 of them this week. But I love the idea of this recipe. So first thing we're gonna do is just spray your muffin tin. And I have, you can see me here. I have some sliced ham. Maybe 1 slice in each cup here. Maybe 2 if you can fit it. Take your muffin tin and get your slice of ham. And we're just going to fit it. Okay, mine are pretty big slices here. I think I'm gonna rip mine in half. Fit it inside of that little muffin tin like this. Ooh, I think I changed my mind. I'm gonna make more than 6 because these are already, I'm thinking they're gonna be super good. Have a little of this. Got some green onion, and I'm just gonna chop up maybe 1 or 2. So the recipe actually says to add this as a topping at the end when they're done cooking. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna chop it up now and then sprinkle a little inside each of these cups, and then I'll crack an egg right on top of it so that it all bakes together, and I think that will taste really good. Probably more than enough. So I'm gonna take this and just sprinkle a teeny bit in each cup. And you can also top it at the end if you prefer, but I think it's gonna taste really good all baked together. Yeah, that's way too many green onions, so maybe just do 1. Okay, and then I just have some feta cheese that's already shredded. You can use any cheese that you like. You could get a low-fat mozzarella, whatever you have, and you're just gonna sprinkle however much you desire. I'm gonna just do about, I don't know, let's see here. Just like the tiniest bit, like, it's literally like half a teaspoon, maybe 1 teaspoon of cheese in each one of these. It's just to give it a little bit of flavor without adding too many extra calories from the cheese. Perfect. Okay. I'll show you what that looks like so far. And now we're just gonna crack an egg into the middle of each of these, and then we're gonna bake them, and that's it. I really hope I don't get a shell in here. That would suck. So I'm gonna put them in the oven at 400 for 10 minutes, and then I'm gonna have a peek. Why do I always meal prep when I'm hungry? Such a bad idea. I wanna eat everything. Once these egg cups are cooked, yeah, one of those is definitely going down. Now I'm gonna work on making some homemade RX bars. These are one of my favorite snacks. They're really simple ingredients, which I love. They're really easy to take on the go. I always throw one in my purse. The only downside to these bars, and I do need to warn you, is they do stick to your teeth. If you've ever had an RX bar, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So I wanted to test out a recipe that I found online, and I actually saw another YouTuber post a homemade RX bar recipe that got my wheels turning, and I'm like, okay, I gotta try this. So I want to start off by saying I didn't exactly follow this recipe as it was written, so they didn't turn out perfect. However, don't let my mistake stop you from making these, because the taste was phenomenal, but you'll see my error if you just keep watching. With that being said, I'm definitely gonna be making these. They actually tasted better than the original RX bars. They had a little bit more flavor, and also the original RX bars have egg whites. I decided to substitute that with a whey isolate protein powder, which is my protein of choice. So the flavor that I'm making today is a chocolate sea salt RX bar. That's one of my favorite flavors. What I've done is I've just soaked my dates in some hot water just so that they're super soft, because I'm gonna be putting them in the food processor and I want them to blend really easily, and I don't want any hard chunks. So I have included those. I also have some almonds that I've put in, and I've already kind of grinded up those almonds so that they have some chunks, but they're not like a super fine powder. I still want a little bit of the almond chunks. And then there's my mistake. I just kind of dumped in some water. I didn't go slow, so I didn't realize it at the time, but these were a little bit too wet. However, they still worked, they just weren't perfect. So keep an eye on the water that you add, make sure you go slow and keep the mixture a little bit thicker than you actually think it should be, and you'll be just fine. I have linked the recipe to make these RX bars in the description box, so check out that link so you know the exact measurements of all the ingredients. The recipe does say to put this in a loaf pan, however, I wanted mine a little bit thinner and I wanted to be able to press it down, so I used just a square glass baking dish. And the great thing about this recipe is it is a no bake recipe. Once you're done mixing everything together and pressing it down, all you need to do is cover it and put it in the fridge. All right, so these are definitely looking a little bit wet. You can see here. They were super sticky, but I'm hoping that they firm up in the fridge. If not, I might just have to leave them in the freezer and eat them a little bit frozen, but I'm hopeful that these will get a little bit firmer as they sit in the fridge. So that's where they are headed right now. How cute are those? Little salt, pepper. This looks so good. Gosh. I'm telling ya. 10 out of 10. So the barbecue apple chicken that I wrapped in the turkey bacon, I ended up just shredding it all up together. The flavor is amazing, but I think because I used turkey bacon instead of regular bacon, it didn't crisp up the same way and it just didn't look super appealing, but the flavor is phenomenal. So I just shredded it all up, and I actually love shredded chicken because you can use it in so many different ways throughout the week. You can top your salads with it. You can make a high protein wrap by adding some of that coleslaw. The options are endless. So I'm super happy with the recipe. I just think it works better if you just shred it. And that actually makes it easier to cook because you don't have to worry about wrapping the chicken with the bacon initially. You can just put the chicken in and layer some of that turkey bacon on top, pour the sauce over with the apples. Easy peasy, which is what I love. Now I'm gonna take a peek at those RX bars and see if they firmed up. They've been sitting in the fridge now for a couple of hours, so I'm really hoping that they're not as gooey and sticky as they were before. As long as they're firm enough to hold together when I'm eating it, I'll be happy. Otherwise, I'll have to throw it in the freezer, and next time I will definitely use less water. So if I'm being honest, I am slightly disappointed that my RX bars didn't turn out as planned. They're a little bit too wet. I wish I didn't pour so much water in when I was mixing it together. But this is cooking, this is meal prepping. You can plan as much as you want, but you don't really know how it's gonna go until you actually cook. You just gotta go with it. And at the end of the day, I have some healthy options ready to go for my week. I'm super pleased and I'm excited because I know it's gonna help me to stay on track, and hopefully you got some new ideas from this video as well. And if you're new around here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like this video, and leave a comment below because I love hearing from you all. Bye for now, see you guys soon.